Well, Sebastian County Emergency Management says several trees are down after storms roared through the area. Right now, their main concern as rain continues is flooding. 5 News This Morning anchor Joe Ellison is live in Sebastian County. Joe, what other damage are you seeing out there?
Yeah, hey, Bo, just like you mentioned, the flash flooding, that was a big deal for this area. Now, a lot of that has receded now. That is great news. There's still some low-lying areas, of course, that we came across that could be dangerous to cross, so don't do that if you come near them. But take a look behind me here. This is Watson Road, just south of Greenwood. Now, this tree right here actually fell on top of this trailer. The good news is no one lives here, so no one was injured, but we're seeing a lot of debris like this area. And to give us a idea of what that looks like, Travis Cooper with Sebastian County Emergency Management joining us live now. I want to talk about fire damage here in Sebastian County. What does that look like? What are you guys seeing out there?
Yeah, so around 7:25 p.m. this evening, we actually were getting a lot of rainfall that started to come into the south part of the county, and it really started to hit in the central part, and we started looking at radar. And so about 7:25, we noticed something that was really picking up around the Witcherville and just north of Huntington area. And what resulted of that was we found some damage, got some 911 calls of trees in roadways, and also several debris items such as trampolines and other things that was just being blown across the roads. What we were able to identify was about 300 yards of the width of this storm having rotation. We never could find an actual touchdown, but what we did identify was about 300 yards of damage from the Witcherville community all the way into the Jenny Lind community just south of Fort Smith.
You were telling me a little bit earlier, some of the things you guys saw out there, hangar doors on an airplane hangar, that flew off. There was an overturned stock trailer and even a barn, but no injuries. That's the good news.
Correct. We were very fortunate. Again, here in the River Valley, we see storms all the time. And so whenever severe weather comes, we understand that the severity of most of our damages comes from winds and also flash flooding. And so that was our biggest concern, is how the winds were coming. We didn't get a tornado warning directly from the National Weather Service, but we were able to identify the need for the sirens to be sound. And then the National Weather Service did sound those tornado warnings, and then flash flooding was the biggest concern after that, along with a few power outages. And we still have about 21 power outages here in the county that are just of the SWEPCO residents, and so just be aware that that restoration should happen anytime now.
Great. Thank you so much, Travis. Appreciate you being here with us tonight. You guys have a busy night. Thank you for all the work that you do. All right, before we go ahead and send it back to you, just one last look at the damage we're going to see here in southern Sebastian County on some of these side roads. So if you're waking up in the morning, maybe you have to travel overnight, you're going to run into some of this debris still in the roadway. Now, crews have done a fantastic job out here clearing most of it, but there still may be a few debris, tree limbs across the road in the area. So make sure you take it careful if you have to get out. Reporting live in Greenwood, covering news where you live, Joe Ellison, 5 News.
All right, Joe, thank you so much for being out there. Please stay safe tonight on those roads. Fort Smith Police warning residents about flooding on several area roads. Here's a look at the areas people are being asked to avoid. Savannah is completely blocked. Old Greenwood and Phoenix area in front of McDonald's is completely submerged. Police are asking people not to drive around barricades. They're saying turn around, don't drown. Now we have Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert here joining us tonight. Scott, you've been covering this. What's going on out there?
Well, we've covered a lot of reports from folks. In fact, I have seen a few videos sent in of folks actually traveling across those flooded roadways, which is not at all what we want to do. Let's take a look at some of the viewer photos that you folks have sent in to us. You're our eyes and ears. I want to begin with this one specifically. Around 8:30 is when Noah and I were tracking a debris signature right around the Hollis Lake Road area. And sure enough, Hannah Boblet took this picture. Now, if you look closely, you can very clearly see minimally that was a funnel cloud. It very well could have been making contact with the ground. You just don't see that condensation funnel all the way to the ground. Nonetheless, that's the exact area where we saw tornado debris signature on radar, which tells me if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it was more than likely a tornado. Now, of course, the Weather Service will have to be one of the ones that officially determine that, but I could have a high degree of confidence that's going to be rated a tornado. We can take a look at what next we have in terms of viewer photos. This was taken in North Fort Smith facing Van Buren. This was a cell that really pulsed up right as it crossed the Arkansas River, trying to move over into the Van Buren area, but it really fell apart as it did, becoming more of a wind issue. So Christy Keaton taking this photo, sharing it with us, and we appreciate that as well. What next do we have? And this was Hendricks Road in Excelsior. And so Excelsior is where we continued to see the tornado damage. Hendricks Road was one of the first areas. This may have been the second tornado we actually saw. The second tornado that likely wasn't even warned by the Weather Service.
Sure.
We started seeing the debris on radar and thought, okay, well, we're not going to wait on a warning. Let's go ahead and get on air. And so you can see that barn itself in the distance, which of course is not necessarily like a sturdy structure, but it was someone's barn nonetheless. And so they're going to be hurting a little bit for that. What else next do we have? Okay, so this was one from Rick Robinson. This was Witcherville, and of course Joe mentioned that, or Travis One mentioned that as well. This is on Nickeltown Road, and right now this is some tree and some limb damage. Hard to know like how big those trees were, how big those actual tree roots were to get an idea of like how strong could the winds have been, but minimally some noticeable tree damage. Don't want to make a lot of assumptions out of that necessarily. And of course we got one more I want to show with you. This one specifically. Okay, that was it. If you would. We love folks at home being our eyes and ears. If you would, could you send us your photos? If you can do so safely, please don't get out there and cause any water rescues. 479-785-5000. Just include your name so we can give you credit, and your location is really helpful, especially in situations like this where we have lots of damage around the area.
All right, Scott, thank you so much. And again, thank you viewers for sending those photos in. Well, moving on from weather now just for a minute, one of Northwest Arkansas's biggest cultural attraction is getting even bigger. Today, Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art opens its expansion to the public. 5 News reporter Taylor Howard is taking us inside.
As part of Crystal Bridges expansion, they just opened up a brand new interactive art studio where you can even make pottery, which I'm doing right now. This is my first time ever making what I hope to be a bowl. We'll see.
After 7 years of planning, thousands of visitors got their first look at Crystal Bridges expansion. The museum first opened 15 years ago. Now visitors can explore new galleries, exhibits, and pieces they haven't seen before.
It's about creating surprise and delight moments for not only those people who are in this community, but people that are coming from all over the country to see it.
The first stop inside the museum's new temporary gallery is Keith Haring's 3D exhibit.
You don't want to miss the exhibition. It's really incredible.
Next is a contemporary gallery. It holds handmade pottery and indigenous pieces made from local artists.
The necklace you see there, that was the last gift my grandmother gave me when she passed. She passed on Christmas Eve, 2021.
Martinez is one of many artists whose work is now on display inside Crystal Bridges.
We feel that responsibility to offer up this space in which they can really feel like they belong, that they can see themselves reflected in the works that we're collecting.
And that sense of belonging is exactly what Bigelow says the expansion designed to create.
It's those moments when people just connect with each other that are the most exciting for us. Crystal Bridges is all about community, so it's all about connecting and creating access to art.
The celebration continues throughout the weekend with live music, art activities, and more special events for visitors, all for free. In Bentonville, covering news where you live, Taylor Howard, 5 News.